Code Tea and Trailers. My name's Sarah from the Delamere Spartans, recording this from the top of Halsby Hill. For those of you that don't know, Delamere Spartans are the keepers of Spardale, otherwise known as Mardale. So whether you're putting the kettle on or putting your trainers on, enjoy this next episode of Tea and Trails.
Just to let you know, listeners, just before I say hello and welcome, there's a little bit of touchiness in Tea and Trails Towers this week.
Honeymoon is over.
Honeymoon is over. Somebody's been running too many miles. It's a bit grouchy. Did you tell Lisa I told you were a bit grouchy? Yeah, he's tired.
No, I didn't tell you. I am pooped.
Yeah, all right. Hello, he's told me 100 times. Hello and welcome to episode 110 of the Tea and Trails podcast. Thanks for the intro, Sarah, and thanks for looking after all the weary runners as they pass through Mardale. You're a welcome sight as they skirt around Haweswater. Garrett, we'll see you soon.
Won't be long with it.
Oh, well, are you talking Lakeland?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say jumping on the Northern Traverse wagon early.
Mardale, that is a graveyard. There'd be some serious psychology getting the weary runners back off the chairs.
Some Coca-Cola being consumed at Mardale. I love it.
Yeah.
We love the intros. Keep them coming. We're all caught up. Are we really all caught up? Because we had a heavy backlog. Oh, we're going to get some great ones this week, though. Hello at teaandtrails.com if you're recording an intro.
A big thank you to all you patrons, and for the price of a decent cuppa, you are the ones that keep the lights hot and the mics on.
I have actually got a new light thanks to Patreon. Do I look different? It wasn't actually
I was good
Patreon. I bought it out. You were like, whoa, this hasn't gone through the books. What the hell? What do you reckon? Does it make me look... Well, I'm going to give you a test. If you're watching on YouTube, this light on. Okay, sensational. I've had to wear the hat because...
sad, light on,
sad
please.
Times.
Light
on. Ooh.
I didn't turn mine off.
My
wrinkles. 10 years on me.
I know. I keep looking, but I don't think the light adds taking the years off. It's just
Disco.
This is the best podcast content ever.
Many thanks to our partners too. Check them out over on Patreon. They support the podcast by providing a discount code for countless running goodies. Join any Patreon tier, pay annually, and you will receive 10% off your subscription, and we'll pop a snood in the post. Also, pop over to Summit Crazy if you would like to buy some awesome Tea and Trails merch. And don't forget, if you want a snood or a hat, then you need to add your address to Patreon. No address, no goodies. I think there's a section where if you want to receive promotional material in the post, Patreon is a bit clunky. That's given it some grace too. I think it's that section where, if you want to accept promotional material through the post, we will not send you any other promotional. Not going to be. The only thing that we'll be sending out are snoods and bottle hats. It's more than you bargained for. Yeah.
Please stop with these postcards. Thank you to X-Miles, Precision Fuel Hydration, Harrier Trail Running, Phoenix Light UK and Protein Rebel for sponsoring this week's show. We use their products. We put week after week, but day after day, my gosh, am I leaning heavily on all those products at the moment. More to come later. If you're listening and thinking, my gosh, this content is sensational, but I just can't quite... Gary, I can hear, but Eddie, just need to hear her a little bit better, then why not use our code TEA10 for £10 off over at SHOKZ.com. Thank you to X-Miles for supporting the show for 2025. Pop over there for all your nutrition and kit needs. Lots of brands to choose from. Gary loves their nutrition planner, and there's loads of insights and articles shared too.
We had a smorgasbord of sports nutrition at the weekend. That's why I love X-Miles. You know, I love all the brands that support us. Protein Rebel, Precision Fuel and Hydration. But X-Miles, it's like a one-stop shop for everything. I was on the Precision Fuel Hydration gels and the carb drink, on the Voom bars too. Robbo, he's been using Tailwind lately. And we'll get into the details of how filthy the weather was on Sunday. But that carb drink with the electrolytes, when you don't want to faff with your gloves and stuff like that, and it's a struggle to eat, just to be able to drink those carbs, it really helped us get off the fells with some energy in the legs. Don't forget, patrons can receive 10% off over at www.xmiles.co.uk. Links to all our sponsors, Patreon and the Tea and Trails Ultra Weekend can be found in the show notes and over at www.teaandtrails.com. Entries for the Tea and Trails Ultra Weekend are live. Sorry for spamming you over the weekend with all my Instagram stories on the trails around those northern fells. If you would like a weekend of trail running, entertainment and camping in the Lake District, then head over to www.teaandtrailsultra.com and get signed up. Thanks so much to everyone who has entered so far. Also, bring your family. If they are in the car with you, that is fine. They don't have to run.
But they can, because there is magic in the works that we are going to do. I'm not sure what we're going to call it yet. Walkers, runners, kids. I'm going to take credit for this, Gary. I'm going to take credit for this. But I had a little thought, and I thought, if you're bringing your family or your kids and somebody's having to stay at the campsite, you're obviously going to stay, Gary, and do like face painting, aren't you? And juggling and moonwalking, a little dance show. But we thought maybe we could also offer, it's not going to be a race, but it's going to be a route, 10K looking at. We're not entirely sure, but something, you obviously don't have to do it, but if your kids like being out in the mountains, or you want give them a little taste,
tire them out.
Just let's not lie about this. If you just want to tire them out, or just let them eat all the sweeties, we're going to also do a little route. There's no entry fee, nothing. It's just going to be something that if you fancy having a go, you can grab a map and go and do it with the kids. We are going to mark it as well, aren't we? So I thought that would be, and my kids were going on and on about doing the 50K. We'd still be waiting to start recording the podcast.
Oh my goodness.
Evie's up Blencathra. She says she's not coming down. No.
I'll be in the pub in Mongrisdale.
With you eating the pies.
But if you would like to come and you can't justify the entry fee, then check out Arena Events' awesome volunteering opportunities. People do reach out to me and ask me, how do I get involved with that? Yeah, check out Arena Events. I don't really know all the dates. You can volunteer at an event and earn credits to put towards future events. It is such a great idea. And I had an awesome day on Saturday on the route. We got blessed on Saturday with the weather. The views, oh my goodness me, the views are spectacular. I want to know more about your hot and sweaty activities.
I haven't, okay. Last week we talked about my sauna tent, which reminds me of my heat initiation, which, did I say that I gave it a bit of a clean out? Because I didn't realise how much, let's just hope it was water sitting at the bottom of the tent. But as I walked past it, I was like, it's whiffy a bit. And then I picked up and I was like, oh my God, there's so much. So it's been outside. It's had a bit of a clean. It's sitting right in front of me. But I actually haven't been in the tent all week because I decided to up my game a little bit with my heat training protocol. I was recommended to try the Core app, which has a core body temperature sensor, which you attach onto. I just put it onto my sports bra, heavily lube around this because there's going to be some heavy sweating. And you can follow, there's lots of different, they give you good advice, heat protocol. Before, I was just sitting in my tent getting hot and sweaty for like 20-25 minutes, or before when I've done heat training I've just got hot and sweaty and not used any like science. You don't need to use science. I love the science, and also I have quite a lot of athletes that are going to hot races, so I want to use this science to then be able to help my athletes. And there's absolutely no way I would understand how to use this app if I hadn't actually done it myself, because it's taken me a few days. Taken me a few days to realize, Gary, that the temperature that it's reading and how much heat training you've done and what zone you're in has got a lag on it. Of course, I didn't read the instructions properly either, because I thought I just like to learn on the go. And I sent it to my friend who's like a couple of weeks ahead of me using this app, and she thought it was hilarious. She was like, Eddie, you've gone straight in the deep end there. There's no because they give you a 5-week build, but I basically just did the last week. Tell you what, Gary, this heat training is intense. It is so tiring. I would recommend most people do it over time, not every single day, heavily for an hour. But
are you doing active heat training now as well?
Active. So I started with passive in my tent for 10 days or so. Got too easy, Gary. So I thought, now I'm going to go. I would definitely recommend, if you want to do this properly, and it really helps me as well, you put this temperature thing on, and then you're live watching your temperature, and you're live when you get in the right zone, it tells you you're in this training zone now, and you stick that, because your heart rate really rises. So my heart rate, I'm running 10-minute mile on my treadmill, and my heart rate is 155, which is my like hour heart rate, basically.
Yeah.
I'm not breathing. My body is just working so hard. Yeah, I've become actually a professional heat training. My eyes are so sore because of the sweat. So I've just gone, right, this week I'm going to see if I can heat accustomed. So I've gone from, on the app it says thermal rookie, and now it says I'm becoming heat accustomed. And I've already noticed I'm on day 4 of this heavy heat training protocol. And yesterday, same pace, exactly the same, 144 heart rate. So my heart rate has already dropped quite a bit. I felt much more comfortable. This is, again, just an experiment on me. Everybody reacts to heat differently. The first couple of times I was sitting in this heart rate training zone for about an hour, which actually is too long because I was coming off the treadmill, having to do like homework, cook the kids' tea. My skin was on fire. So dehydrated. And then I was like, get the pie in the oven. I was like, I don't need to sit down a bit. So I've also learned when to do this heat training, which is not when immediately then you have to go into mothering mode. You need to give yourself an hour afterwards to like set yourself. Also, I'd learned if you keep everything on, so I did all the bins. I was walking with my bin bags down to the bins, and we sort of share communal bins. I was thinking, I had my 2 coats on, beanie hat. I was thinking, please don't let the neighbours come with their bins and just see Eddie. So, I've been learning lots, and the jury's out whether it makes any difference, whether it's very, very tiring though. I'm really, really hungry, because I guess you're like burning through the calories. Yeah. I can't do any quality training because I'm absolutely exhausted. But what I have noticed is that when I'm running in that like 45 minutes of the heat training mode, because it takes about 15 minutes, which is the worst bit of getting your heart rate and getting your body up to that heat, that bit that's going to be actually the training mode, which they say is what you would never want to race in because you're really uncomfortably hot. That is the worst bit, getting yourself up to that sweating bit, because you're really hot and uncomfortable. Once you start sweating, I definitely feel like the body kicks in and goes, okay, we're at this temperature. This is how hard you're going to work. I tell you what it feels like, Gary. You won't know this yet, but I've done 3 200 milers. My legs feel like they do when you're sort of 150 miles into a 200-mile race. You're still able to run, but they feel totally empty. Yeah. There's nothing in them, but you're able to just like shuffle. You know, you've seen people. You're able to just shuffle along, and it's very similar. I've not really been able to replicate that feeling in training, and it's really similar, like mental, to be able to keep running on the treadmill. So I get, when you've got that temperature up and you think, and it gives you the bars as you go along, so it says two out of 10 done, 3 out of 10 done. So I try to get to like 6 or 7 until I'm like, I literally, if I don't get off now, I start slipping on the treadmill belt because of the sweat, and I can feel my sock. Guys, if you're listening, Eddie takes everything to an extreme. So this is Eddie, for all you listeners and for all my athletes, I'm taking everything to extreme and then we'll dial it all right back. So I think mentally it's good training as well. So that is what I have been doing. I love it. I was talking to Bryn about it. He could not be less interested. I was showing all the kids the app. I was like, look what mum's doing. I've been running so long now. We're looking 35 years, Gary. I've been running almost every day. So sad.
It's good to spice it up. I love it.
Oh, I love I've never done this before. I'm loving like the change. I am slightly sad about how long it takes me now to get ready. So now I have to lube whole body. Just sit back and imagine that. Lube whole body, get all the heart rate monitors on, get the sensor on, and then I go leggings, socks over the leggings so that the sweat doesn't come straight out the trainers, waterproof trousers, Bryn's ones, not my ones. He hasn't noticed yet. And then old long sleeve, not merino, nylon, so that the sweat doesn't, it's not lovely and takes the sweat, so the sweat gets there. Then old waterproof to stop the sweat evaporating. Then double old soft shells that I used to ski in, that the down has gone. They're still fine for like dog walking and stuff. Double that, hat, hood up, and then the pièce de la résistance, the mittens. Because the first time I did it without mittens, and I thought I can feel the heat evaporating from my hands. It's too pleasurable. Put the mittens on. Amazing.
Oh, fair play. That's where I'm out. I love, last week I was kind of, nah. And then over the week, I thought, yeah, I wouldn't mind checking this out. But all that admin.
I don't know how, I mean, I've seen videos of people doing it in the gym, in a public place.
Oh, yeah.
I would feel because you got the sweat. There's not a lot of sweat like flying off your body, but like dripping on. I don't think they'd be very happy about that in a gym.
Well, I saw the suit on X Miles. That is not a good look for the Fitness Factory. I could not.
Do you not? Now, I really want the suit, Gary. I want the suit so bad. I'll tell you why I want the suit. Not just because I would just think, what would the neighbours say? Because I'd like to run outside to warm up rather than doing it on the treadmill. I just can't jog down the road in all the ski stuff. But then I thought, that suit, imagine jogging.
Yeah, but it looks like there's been a chemical spill or something.
Yeah, it looks terrifying. But would it save on all the washing? Because I tell you what, the washing, I'm not washing the outer layers, but when I take my layers, my leggings, my socks off, I feel uncomfortable, and I have very low hygiene standards. Anyway, the jury's out. I'm looking forward to it. So I've already seen a bit of a lower heart rate. I don't know as much as well whether that's a bit of learnt effect as well. Placebo effect, would we call it that, in the fact that I've done quite a bit of heat training now, the body's getting used to it, but also I'm not got that panic.
I wonder if this will stay. Like we've with this podcast over the 4 years, we've seen collagen come, and that's still, people are using that. And then I think magnesium is quite popular at the moment. Then you've got the glucose monitors. They were like, and I could understand the data behind that, getting that feedback. But yeah, I don't really see those on people's arms like they used to maybe 2 years ago.
If you are racing in a hot country, or do you remember when I did Southdowns Way and it was like the hottest day ever recorded?
We talked about this yesterday with Susanna about May, UTS.
Yeah, UTS.
Absolutely
so
scorches.
I am prepping I'm ready for Scotland in June. But also I'm just really enjoying a new stimuli, something different. Next week I'll have finished.
I'll have bought one next week.
Next week you're going to be in the thing. But because I'm really enjoying it as well, because I haven't been able to get out for long mountain adventures the last month or so. My life is can I say wild? Because it is so not wild, but it's so busy that being able to do something a bit different and still feel like I'm making a bit of progress. Otherwise, I don't have time to get out for 2.5 rounds is probably my limit at the moment. And so, I'm enjoying it, but I would put the caveat to anybody that's thinking, I'm going to try and do it. You need to make sure that you very carefully put it in your training plan. I would advise using this app in order to monitor your heart, because it's very easy to get too hot. Put it very carefully in your plan. And maybe as well, if you're lucky to have your own treadmill, just say to the person, your nearest and dearest, could you come and check on me? Because I went out for 90 minutes and they were watching the rugby and nobody even noticed or came to check on me, and I could have died of heat exhaustion. There we go. That is my update. Next week, there'll be nothing left of Eddie, just a shriveled old prune.
I'd say I chase the science very loosely. I chase the science. But when you look at these high performing athletes here, Tour de France, marathon runners, people are all doing heat chambers, altitude camps. I see pictures of cyclists with puffer jackets on their bikes, on their turbos. So there must be they'll see the data. And again, cycling, unlike any other sport, I think every little increment is measured in so much detail. So yeah, I definitely think there is something in it.
If you actually have got some actual questions rather than me just joking about my heat training, feel free to jump into email us at hello@TEA10 if you want to know about the Core app as well, which I'm getting to use as well. Feel free.
I see we probably don't know anything about this, but I do see this popping up on my timeline that they have these like heat mats, so you can kind of just lie down on your sofa. I'm not too sure how they stack up. I've
not seen that. Yes. But I would question.
Oh, yeah.
But then people may question what I'm doing too. Anyway, you've actually done proper training. You haven't just...
I have. I've had a really, really big week, actually. But I won't go into all the boring stuff, the easy miles. Tuesday, goodness me, this was like... mentally, this was a heavy load going into this. 3 times 10 minutes on the treadmill. So getting into that threshold zone, for me, that's like 140. Like a mid 140s to about 160. What I failed to do last year in all my treadmill sessions that I crushed, I never put the treadmill at that 1% incline. Somebody shared that data with me me after I'd done all my Manchester Marathon training. But I managed my Manchester Marathon pace on the treadmill, which was probably a good 30 seconds slower than the treadmill pace I was running this time last year. So sad times. Positives though, I'll take some positive from that workout, even though it was bruising. I wasn't hitting the pace I wanted. The positive was it was a fast session, and all year, all my workouts have been uphill treadmill workouts. So regardless of the pace, this is the fastest my little legs have moved all year long. Threshold Thursday, and I'm not too sure if this is, my plan didn't have this on the plan. It's just one workout and kind of two back-to-back big long runs. So is the power of the group positive, or did I just get swept along with the group and did something I shouldn't have done? But it was great anyway. 20 minutes on the trails, slowly, ever so slowly. Well, it started off slowly, then a real kind of spicy kick at the end, kind of just going uphill all the way. I think all in all, the run got us just under 1,000 feet of elevation. Really, really hard graft, and the cherry on top of the cake at the end was 6 times, I think like 20 seconds hill sprints.
How sick do you feel? It's amazing how 20 seconds you can get to the top of that and be like, oh, but you recover like that, don't you? But just that initial stopping, you go.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't 30 seconds. I loved it because there was 1, 2, 3, 4 of us, and there was some other people in the Dean too. We're moving at, goodness me, it wasn't like really, really fast or anything like that, but moving at pace.
You're imagining you guys are like some sort of Kenyan pack.
Moving at pace on the trails at night, and they're quite easy trails, not overly technical. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it, and I had these big plans for getting up early the next day, going to the gym, doing an easy treadmill run, doing the weights. But unfortunately, I had really awful sleep on Thursday. Poorly Rex, my goodness me, poor fella was puking. It must have been every toe.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
Someone's been down the Dean eating something they shouldn't.
Well, I was waiting for a sock to be pooed out or something like that. I'm not too sure what he'd eaten, but it passed. Luckily, it passed over 24 hours. But yeah, I got it. I took one for the team on Thursday because Lisa had to be up at like 4:30 in the morning. So I looked on me Garmin app, and it was every 2 hours I was up making. You just needed to go out every 2 hours.
Do you get a bit angry when your dog's sick because it's self-inflicted? Because I get the rage a bit when I'm like, well, if you didn't eat all this,
well, initially I was, but then he was in a bit of a bad way. So.
You're a nice guy.
Good news is though, if anyone's concerned, Rex is much
Sorry,
better.
yes, how is Rex?
He's fine. But yeah, I didn't bin the sessions off, actually, the gym and all that. I just had to do it a later day, so my day was quite compressed. And yeah, we're getting to Thursday, so release date is looming, so the stress is on little Gary. I think I got it out Friday afternoon, so it wasn't too late. Then the weekend came around, 2 whopping, well, they were 17 miles and 20 miles. They weren't huge days. But first day on the Tea Trails Ultra Route, or a bit of it actually, the Northern Fells. Such a glorious day. Bit breezy. We bumped into, this was so bizarre. We booked an interview to speak to Susanna, who's going to be on the podcast in a few weeks' time. I've never met her before. I've got no idea where she lives. I didn't know she was going to be there. As we were going up Blencathra, she was coming down Blencathra. It was absolutely,
She's like, who is the guy?
It's this guy waving at me.
He's okay. To check he's okay is really out of breath.
We did some Protein Rebel product placement in our Instagram story. But we finished at the pub. Oh yeah, we did bump into a listener too. I forgot to get her name. Finished at the pub. Great spot. I think a couple of times I give this place a shout out. Would love it if you did a Teen Trails Ultra Recce, but you could just be having a play around the Northern Fells. You don't have to go into Keswick. You don't have to kind of park up and do all that. If you get there early, you can park near the Mill Inn pub in Mungrisdale, have loads of hours of fun on the trails, and just roll into that pub. There's a roaring fire, pot of tea, Eddie. It wasn't just a cup with a tea bag dunked into it. It was a pot of tea. And we were just going to have the tea, and we just scanned everybody else's food, and we thought,
you were just going to have the tea? That wouldn't happen on my watch.
Well, I had a heel shake in the car. We had stuff like that too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that'll sort you out.
Yeah, it was sensational. Just like real good quality pub food. Evening. Yeah, this was another little exciting part of the weekend. We busted to Munoz. to watch Shane O'Leary's Dragon Back Race FKT film. Loved it. Trish was there, Robin Cassidy, Emma Stewart. It was a who's who of trail running. It was absolutely incredible. I think it's up on the Dragon's Back Race YouTube channel.
What was it? Yeah, I've got the link. I haven't watched it. I'm saving it for one of my sweat. Shane would really appreciate me heavy sweating watching this film. He wouldn't want it any other way. Did you enjoy it? What's it like?
Yeah, it was good.
Times.
There's quite a few people there in the room, including myself. I'd done the Dragon's Back Race, so it was just nice to revisit some of those trails, and it's absolutely glorious. And a story well told. I think one of the concerns was what was going to be the story of it, but there was plenty of jeopardy as the weekend. So the story was there. Then we busted home. Unfortunately, we couldn't stay for drinks in Bowness. We had to bus it back to Ambleside. We had an open top bus on the way from Ambleside to Bowness.
Just what they put that on for you, Gary?
Just for me, yeah.
Coming home. He's gone.
Then Sunday, we stayed in the YHA in Ambleside. And then Sunday, we knew the forecast was, I think it was saying about gusting at 50, 54, 50 mile an hour. But this was up at Helvellyn. You know, I always, when I do the forecast, I always go for
50 is like maybe on your
50s,
hands and knees a wee bit.
Well, that was, I think I was speaking to the guys at Two de Helvellyn, and that was when they were going to get concerned when the gusts were, when the wind speed was above that. But I always do, and I suppose the lesson learned, whatever the forecast is, maybe stick another good 5-10 miles an hour on that, because we were forecasting, say, for Helvellyn, we weren't going to Skiddaw or Blencathra. I was checking all the really high peaks. We were going to High Street. So it was high, it was quite high, can't argue with that. But it was going to be a bit of a 13 Valleys recce. Where am I starting? Ambleside all the way to Stuybeck Farm. Then we're going to bus it back. But oh my goodness me, the wind up on High Street, it was insane. It was fine all the way in the valley in Troutbeck. We climbed High Street, everything seemed fine. And then we got that, that extra 50 metres, that little bit more of exposure. It was insane. We were 45 degrees leaning into the wind, just trying to battle. Well, I think there was a point where we were both thinking, this could be sad times. It was so cold. The rain was cutting. I don't want to paint it like I'm telling this story. Like, I don't want to romanticize this. This was uncomfortable place to be. The rain was cutting into our face. I wish I had some goggles like what you have to have on the spine race, because I was trying to run and shield my eyes from this rain. It was horrendous. There was one point, so we drifted off the path, and Robbo had said, I think we should get our clothes on here. And I just wanted to keep moving.
You were naked. This explains a lot.
Reverse heat training. And because I just didn't want to stop, because we were right pretty much on the high.
I've been with you before, Gary, in bad conditions, and you've ended up in a bit of a state as well.
But luckily,
you don't want to cover up the thighs, do you? Because you never know if you could meet a listener.
It's a crime. It's a crime to keep them wrapped up. But when we made our way back we just drifted off the trail a little bit. So we made our way back onto the trail, and luckily we were right beside a wall. So we just hunkered down behind that wall, got all the insulated jacket on. I changed the gloves, changed the hat, put our waterproof trousers on, all that kind of stuff, spare stuff. Like I had spare hat and spare gloves. And there was so much water in the gloves. And the insulated gloves, when you get that synthetic material, so I could wring them out. There was so much water in them. Yeah, but they were warm. My hands were still fine.
I think you like create a steam. You create a sauna in them, don't you? And then you just wring out the end. Yeah.
I don't know. But immediately we got so much more comfortable. We had layers on, putting that insulated jacket on under a waterproof. It's a bit of a leap of faith, because you think, I'm going to take all of this stuff off. Am I going to get really temporarily freezing? But the benefits, unless, imagine that you take your jacket off and then it goes, poof, gets blown away in the wind. That would be sad times. So you make sure you kind of pin everything down, get changed, eat again. Even though the watch hadn't beeped to tell us to eat, I thought I was going to take another kind of 40 grams of carbs. Up we got, and then kind of shuffled our way back down to Heartstop. But before that, Robbo knew this route, but from a different race, and I knew the route, but from the 13 Valleys route. So he's jogging off ahead. But I'm thinking, we need to go left here. Robbo was jogging off into the mist, and I'm screaming, but the wind was so loud and powerful, he couldn't hear me. And I was just like, Rob, my throat was sore at the end of the day. And I was thinking,
traumatizing.
What is going to happen? And eventually I was like, Robbo. It's like, I was just about to I've got to go after him. And then he turned around and jogged back to me. Yeah, that was pretty scary. But I think at that point we both lost the appetite to go high again, because to go over Sticks Pass, it's not Helvellyn, but it's still, you're going super high. So there was a trail running parallel with the road going up to Kirkstone Pass, but we just thought, no dramas, we will just stay on the tarmac, we'll go up to Kirkstone Pass, and then we'll go down the struggle back into Ambleside. Yeah, dragged our drenched asses into the hostel. Lessons learned, just maybe if that wind speed, the gusts say it's going to be 50, well, it might be 60, it might be 65, but yeah, we had all the kit, and that is just years and years of experience. That insulated extra layer jacket, that is something that maybe Dragon's Back race, that probably came on my radar probably about then. And I always remember Sarah Perry's first Bob Graham round attempt at Blencathra getting absolutely smashed, and just putting that insulated jacket on, and it was like everything was okay in the world again. Really good week. I'm not really sure of the dates, 15,000 feet of vert, lots of miles, I don't know the hours, but yeah, I had a really interesting, solid week. I did a good deed though. Out of all of this, I did a good deed. I was doing a dog jog with Rex to Station Town and back, and on the way back, I don't know how long this poor horse had been trapped in a fence. Its hoof, like the metal hoof, it had got, I don't know why it put its foot through this fence. Anyway, as it tried to take its foot back from the fence, yeah, its little hoof got kind of snagged in the wire fence. And I was thinking, Rex is just not really good around horses, what's going to go here? But yeah, he stepped up, he was good, strapped into the fence. He wasn't barking, stressing everybody out. And unlike a cat, if you free a cat, not that I've ever done this, but if you freed a cat, it would just bugger off straight away. It'd be like, wouldn't give you any kind of recognition for what he did. Horse hung around. He wanted a little stroke. It was a little, it was a lovely little moment.
Did you tell him about your training sessions? So as I'm freeing your hoof, just let you know.
3 times 10 minutes.
3 times 10 minutes, that threshold. Oh, that was
I wanted
tricky,
its opinion on
it?
passive or active heat training. Wasn't interested.
Would you wear that core suit in the field? I'm sure you could carry it off.
But yeah, wild weekend, solid week of training this week. We'll go into it maybe a little bit of detail, but yeah, I need a bit of a down week. Brew with the Coaches. Thanks Precision Fuel and Hydration for supporting Brew the Coaches. Their website and newsletter are such good sources of knowledge, articles to read, and YouTube content to binge on too. On YouTube, you can learn how to fuel an ultramarathon, what pro runners carry on race day, and how to nail your marathon prep. Check out their Fuel Planner, and why not book a free video chat with one of the awesome sports scientists. And if you would like to try Precision Fuel and Hydration, then use the code TEA10 2025 for 15% off your first order. And if you are a Patreon, you get a whopping, I don't know anywhere else you get a 20% off code. So yeah, you Patrons, you can get a whopping 20% off code. Head over to Patreon for all the deets. This week, Graham Pepper has a question all about Zone 2 training. I'm surprised in all the years we've been doing this, it's the first time, because most of our listeners are ultra runners, it's the first time a Zone 2 training question has come up. Thanks, Graham. I've read a bit about Zone 2 training, but would like to know the opinions of the coaches on the benefits for a mid to back of the pack V55 runner whose only goal is to complete rather than chasing for a podium. For me to run in Zone 2, it is a very, very slow jog, a speed I could probably beat with a fast walk. Is this really beneficial to my ultra performance, or would I be better off just going for a fast walk and ignoring the zone stuff? Alternatively, would I be better getting a more accurate chest or arm heart rate monitor and sticking with it once a week as part of my training? I am not coached and shamefully do not follow a structured or strict training plan. I simply go out several times a week and try and do a bit more than the previous week. Thanks, Graham Pepper.
Can I just say, Graham, and I pull this up for people all the time, if you are reading your heart rate monitor from your watch, chuck it away. Yeah. It's a load of BS. Any watch with a wrist-based reading of the heart rate monitor, it does not work. Don't tell me it does. Don't come at me, because it doesn't work. So, Graham, if you're reading it from that, I would say if you're interested in your heart rate zones, which I think you obviously are, definitely upgrade. Don't bother with the chest strap. Get the arm strap. They're brilliant now and so much better and so much more comfortable. Anyway, I'm not going to jump in with anything because Russell is like itching. He's licking up the screen ready to answer this.
Oh my God. Yeah. Sorry. It's a great question, Graham, and I totally get why it's so confusing. And I have to go back to the start of the universe to explain all of this. But basically, we are a consumerist, capitalist society, and they have to
Did
sell
not
us
see it
stuff.
going this way. Crikey,
Oh
let me
my
undo
God.
my gilet a little bit for this
Yeah,
one.
I'm sorry. There has to be a buzzword for a coach that sounds sexy and a bit confusing for them to sell their book or their podcast or whatever it is. The watch has to sell you something. There has to be a gizmo. There has to be something to buy and sell. It's zone two at the moment is the buzzword. It's very much the buzzword. The difference between zone one and zone two is completely made up. Okay. So no one knows where to draw that line. There is no physiological marker that any physiologist could find, oxygen meter, lactate meter, heart rate meter. It's a made up construct. Okay. So the difference between zone one and zone two already is blurry as F. Your Garmin is just made up a number for you. Okay. So in that case, why are you even listening to your watch, which, as Eddie says, the optical sensor on your wrist is incredibly unreliable. You could wear two different watches and get entirely different readings. The thing that I want to get to with this is that you're doing everything right already. The thing that you said, I simply go out several times a week and try and do a bit more than the previous week, is already absolutely bang on, and you should be allowed to enjoy that process. And I've had a lot of success getting people to strip right back to that. Numbers and the deets and everything, they can be fun. I know Gary loves it, but if you actually just enjoy going out for a run and extending that every week, it's going to help you massively. I had pneumonia last year, and building back, I had to stop and walk several times, and I didn't need a watch to tell me to do that. I was out of breath, and that was all I needed to know. I can't breathe in a normal way right now. I'm going to have to stop and walk this off. Walk running is great for the stage that you're in, and not feeling like some pride tied to the fact that you might have had to stop and walk. It's totally fine. And that zone one, zone two, low level aerobic work should always feel chatty. I know Trish likes nose breathing. I also like it if you can close your mouth to see if you can breathe through your nose relaxed. I get that some people don't like it, and it's fine, but chatty pace should very easily be able to listen to a podcast without, struggling to keep up. Those safety valves, put those in. Walk running is fine. Extend it a little bit more. The thing that I want to point out is that the very, very best runners in the world, look at any all-time list and you're going to find East Africans up there, and they don't give a beep about zone one and zone two or where their heart rate is at. They're just going out off feel every day, and it can get you incredibly fit, but keep the joy of the running. So I'm sorry if that was a bit ranty.
But Graham, also you say shamefully, I don't follow a structured or strict program. And we all learn our living from setting people structured and strict training programs. I don't follow a training program. I do and I'm a professional coach. I go out every day, and I have every week I have the sessions I want to tick off, but I decide when I'm going to do them as to how I feel. I never judge the warm up, but I warm up and I think, is today the day? Nearly always it's not. But don't get too caught up on those zones. However, they are quite useful in that I don't like putting numbers on them, but in that you can, if you hear them being talked about, just understanding them a little bit so that you can go, what it tends to be, people use a 5-zone model of like, 1 is like living, 2 is like gentle, easy exercise, maybe a brisk dog walk or a slow jog. 3, you're a little bit more out of breath. You're probably going to need to change your top after you run because it's got a bit sweaty. You might be puffing a bit if you get to a hill. That's where a lot of good work can be done in zone 3. Zone 4, you're uncomfortable. It might be something like your sort of 5-minute, 6-minute reps, that sort of longer reps. And then zone 5 might be top end strides. It might be 2 minutes, 1 minute, 3 minutes sort of effort. So if you're a little bit about zones, but then the confusing thing is that there's a million different models of this, and people might talk about their heart rate. And so don't get too confused about it. I say, Graham, just use your breathing. Just listen to your breathing, listen to your body, and just make sure as you're as you're increasing the volume, that's brilliant. But also perhaps just add in a little bit, maybe one of your couple of sessions a week, add a little bit, maybe choose a hilly route and just go, right, every little hill, I'm going to run up and get out of breath at. Doesn't matter the distance, doesn't matter if it's just like 10 or get out of breath. And then keep on running and start to teach the body to recover as you keep running. And that's a great way to start introducing the different zones without having to, you don't need to look on a heart rate, just use what you've got outside, use nature. So that would be, if you're getting into it, that would be my way to like, don't worry about the noise of the watch, of the heart rate. But if you do love it, then do a little bit of experiment, but just make sure that reading is coming from an accurate source if you are interested. And I love my heart rate monitor for a session, easy run, never wear it. But for a session, I love it because it's my only friend telling me that I'm doing really well. 168, you're still alive, Eddie, you can do it. Trish, what are your thoughts?
I think the best way to think of training is like a pyramid. All of your easy stuff, it's the foundation to everything else. So, if you think of a cake, for example, all your base ingredients like flour and whatever, they're pretty boring, right? So, but you can't really put sprinkles on the top of the cake, like the faster stuff, unless you've got the base there. So that flour base in your cake. So that's super important to think of it in a pyramid style. Like the guy said, everything you're doing, like watches are great and technology is great. I tend to think of it as an extra tool. And I think generally what I found with using Garmin heart rate, wrists monitors, for example, or it's a bit on and off, but you can find the trend. So I think if you look at the trend, that's another way to kind of see how you respond. I wouldn't focus too much on the watch though, to be honest. I trust how you feel, and we really struggle to trust how we feel, I think, as athletes, and that's a really, really key part of training, consistency of training and longevity of training. By trusting how you feel, that enables you to take part longer. It enables you to monitor yourself. The best computer you've got is yourself at the end of the day. You've had hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. So trust the computer that is you. I think what you're doing is great. I would keep doing that and keep it chilled, keep it easy. What you're doing sounds spot on. I would just add maybe one hard session a week. And, that might be something like Eddie said, something super easy. Like 30 seconds intervals is a great way to start in terms of building VO2. And that will help elevate your base pace, basically. So if you do that one hard session a week, keep the rest easy. Your long run at the end of the day will have a cumulative stress anyway, because it's a long run. So even if you keep that easy, you will still get the stress of that long run. But I would maybe just add one hard session. Trust what you're doing with your zone 2, because it all sounds great, and you'll see a difference with your base pace if you add that hard session.
There was a guy, real quick anecdote, I won't mention his name. Well, his first name was Anthony. And he came to me and said, right, I'm done with Runners World. I'm done with gizmos. You tell me everything and I'll do whatever you say. And he went out for a 10-minute run 5 times a week. And every week he added a minute. And by the end of the year, not making this up, he was up to an hour, 5 times a week. His 10K time improved by 10 minutes. No strides.
Yeah.
No hard runs. It's so powerful, the aerobic system and the base. So even if you only do what you're doing, the consistency is king. And Trish would agree with that more than anyone. If you find the thing that you like and you can lean into it and keep enjoying it and just elongate it a bit more, you're gonna get better at everything. So good luck, Graham.
It's so true as well, because actually the vast majority of, I think, people coming into fitness, because Insta is really bad for it, isn't it? Like you see everyone doing these like run drills and hard death, hero sessions. And actually, that's the reality is the vast majority of people coming into running just need a base. They just need that base fitness. So they don't really need to add anything at all. They just need the consistency of going out and doing easy training.
Hope to help Graham and all of you ultra shufflers out there.
I live in zone 2. I love that to be my home address. Zone 2.
I know I just do the whatever Garmin tells me is my zones, but as I get older, all my zones are getting a little bit The numbers are reducing.
My 14-year-old did a 20-minute run on the treadmill, and he was like, I ran at average 184.
Yeah.
I'm like,
That is
those are the
bonkers.
dreamy days. He did also ask if he could take a gel, and I was like, no, I don't know about kids and gels. Like, what's the score? When can I start feeding them caffeine?
Goodness me, not caffeine, yeah.
Is it, what's the science? Need to ask at Precision Fuel Hydration Towers. Like, when am I allowed to give my kids?
Well, George has a coffee. He likes a coffee, George, and that's been for a couple
I'm
of years.
thinking more about like the grams of carbs. How much can a 9-year-old absorb per hour? Is that too early? Is that too pushy?
It's either that or tank fasting, isn't it? I'd go for the precision
Tank
gel.
fast it. Before cross-country races, I have my pocket and I'm like, how many do you want? What are we looking at? How fast this start's going to be?
Contraband.
Then can I add in caffeine as well? A little bit of illegal, give them espresso shots.
Juiced up on the start line.
Mum. If you have any questions for our coaches, pop over to teaandtrails.com, fill in the Google form via the Brew with the Coaches button on the homepage.
Thanks, Phoenix Light, for sponsoring this week's interview. Don't forget, patrons can enjoy 10% off over at www.phoenixlight.co.uk. The best design comes from the actual needs of users. Phoenix takes providing mobile lighting products with excellent performance as the goal and born for harsh environments as its mission. Never forget why you started, and your mission can be accomplished. As the nights are getting lighter, then the need for head torches reduce. But when we all do these big races, you do need to carry.
Yeah, they must have a real ebbs and flows in there.
Yeah.
But I
When
guess
the clocks
you
change.
always have to carry a head torch, don't you? Or two head torches.
Well, even on the weekend, we both had head torches in our backpack. Because goodness me, if we needed head torches, that would have been a terrible, terrible day. But yeah, you just never know. It was great to sit down with Lewis. We chatted with Lewis a few weeks ago, and he told us all about how he smashed the 2025 Arc of Attrition by UTMB. I enjoyed it. I hope you do too. Lewis Ryan is a talented trail runner from the UK. He has achieved remarkable success in ultra-distance races, including winning the Arc of Attrition 100 by UTMB in 2025. This grueling 100-mile race follows the Cornish section of the South West Coast Path. Lewis finished with a time of 19 hours, 22 minutes and 35 seconds. He's also had impressive results in other races such as the Chianti Ultra Trail and Ultra X England. Lewis runs for Scarpa and has a UTMB index of 772. I forgot to mention a smoking fast 235 marathon and a sub 17 5k, and also lots of other fantastic results over there. If you could do one race for the rest of your life, it's Groundhog Day, you're waking up for a park run, London Marathon or Arc of Attrition or any other 100-mile race, what would it be?
Oh my God, that's such a hard question. I've got to do it every day for the rest of my life.
It's not painful though. Yeah, because you choose the park run, wouldn't you?
Because I would
the rest of the day.
I was about to say UTMB, then I realised I would be running literally for the rest of my life, every minute of every day.
Just a moment every day you're in that race. Which race would it be?
I think the end of UTMB. If I could experience that every day, I'd be pretty happy. It's close between that and London Marathon, I think that's one of my happiest running experiences with London Marathon.
That's a wild day, London Marathon. This question pops up on social media, and it's not really a fair comparison, because is a 100-miler easier than a sub 25k? I always find that's a real tough question to ask, because some people physically can't run a fast 5k, but they could do a 100-miler. But yeah, that we talked about it earlier with Brew the Coaches, when you can taste the blood on a 5k, I don't think there's anything tougher than that.
Yeah, but at least it's going to be over soon. I think pushing yourself really hard for a 5k is extremely difficult, but I would take it over 100 miles a day for sure.
This should be the Tea and Trails 5k special. I always think a 5k is such a tough race, because if you get it wrong, you're either not going to get the time you want, or you're going to blow up and be full of lactate and kind of shuffle in that last half a mile. While 100-miler maybe... Yeah, 100-miler, definitely you've got some time to course correct. Marathon, unless you've gone spectacularly too fast, you can kind of have a little break too. But yeah, 5k, you've got to nail it big time.
What sort of 5K shape do you think you were in going into Arc of Attrition?
Well, I did a couple of park runs in the block, and I was hitting, I think, like 16:50 I ran, but it was on a bit of a hilly one. I've run a sub 16 before a couple of years ago, but that was when I was marathon training, I think. So I was in pretty good shape, close to my fastest, I would say. I've always managed to keep my speed pretty well. I don't know how. Put it down to my long legs, I think, but
genetics.
Yeah.
Put it down to
it's all
your mum and dad.
Definitely not. But
Is it not? Is it not genetic?
The two least athletic people in the world. But
You might have to go back a little bit further.
Maybe. Might be somewhere along the line. Yeah.
Do you fancy going back to the marathon though? I love London Marathon. 2022, unless Power 10's not up to date. That's the last one I can see.
Yeah, I do. I really want to go back. So I'm actually doing the Cardiff Half Marathon in October. I'm really excited for that. Because it's been a long time since I raced a half marathon properly, and I was intending on going back to London next year until I got into UTMB, and now it's kind of going to be, with the limited time I've got, I want to focus a lot on UTMB stuff, and although a marathon would be good training, I just want to kind of keep it hyper focused.
Is that UTMB placed for this year or next year when you win the Arc of Attrition?
2026.
Okay. I was just a little nervous about your busy summer then. And I was like, oh.
I would have been asking to defer it if it was this year. So 2026, which obviously is not going to be easy because I'll have a 3-year-old.
Oh, but I think it is when they're younger. I think it's actually easier. They're more transportable. Their opinions are led by food. Let's go for an ice cream. While Dad does his, I actually think almost that's a good time. I've had a lot of clients that have done really amazing athletic achievements, and some that haven't. So if you've got young kids and you think, oh, I should be doing this, but I do actually think if you can make it work, the admin is horrendous.
Yeah.
The planning and the nappy bags and everything. But I do think that the sort of pliability of from like 0 to 5 of kids that are just happy with like a roundabout or something.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the challenge, and I've already started kind of running with a buggy, go out hiking with Ellis, my little boy, in the pack. So not the running pack, the proper backpack. Not that mean, but and I really enjoy that stuff. So if I could do a lot of my base work with kids, it's that's good. Then as long as you can get out for your quality time, I think that's all right. But yeah, we shall see. I hope I can give it a good go at training stuff, but obviously the kids and everything come first, so we shall see.
I've got no idea how it works. Could you have took a place 2025, or did it always have to be 2026?
I don't know. The way it was framed was that it was just 2026. So yeah, we got an email sort of saying that you've got your entry to this race. Will kind of be in touch later in the year, because I think now all the places for this year are taken up, I think. So
there's always places. There's always people sneaking in on there.
The backhanders, brown envelopes going around.
Around Chamonix.
Stuff, yeah.
The back.
Tickets, anyone? Tickets?
Can you imagine if it was like that?
It's going to be not far off that.
It can't be far off, because you can get it's going to be like the Six Nations dodgy tickets you can get on the day just outside.
Yeah,
you just rock up in your kit and people will be like, here's my number, how much?
Yeah, I know that. I honestly, that must be, I reckon that happens already. I reckon there's some dodgy transferring of bibs and stuff going on already. Yeah,
can't hide these days though. Like literally everyone gets a photograph, all the numbers, everyone's tracking. I don't know how you could do it on an event like that.
AI got my time down to the second, so who knows what it could do with running bibs. And
I bought a dodgy ticket from a tout for a Sunderland football match, and I ended up in the away end with all the Charlton City fans. It was the worst 90 minutes. Well, it was great. It was great. It was bittersweet. No, Sunderland. No, we got beat on penalties. But that was the saving grace. Otherwise, I don't think I would have made it out alive. But yeah, do not buy from touts, kids. You never know what you're going to get. 2 and a bit weeks out from the Arc. How are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks. It was not tough. Obviously, I was on a massive high, but I think mentally I was just really tired afterwards. My body was in pretty, relatively good shape, but I was pretty low, or not low, flat, I would say, for a few days after. On the Thursday after it, I started feeling pretty human again. But really haven't done much running. I went for a longer run yesterday, did like 20k, and I can feel like I've got kind of DOMs today and stuff, which I shouldn't really have from that run. So I
Still a bit of damage there.
Can tell that I'm not ready to build up again. So yeah, another easy week this week. I'm like fully back into work and everything. So it kind of feels a bit like a distant memory.
We'll bring it all back. We're going to bring back some of the trauma.
Bring it back to me. Bring it back to me.
Glory. So do you have a coach, Lewis, or are you just going by feel of like a back to return to running sort of?
I do have a coach, Tim Piggott. He's kind of set up a little community called HP3. So Tim's my head coach. He also runs for Scarpa. There's a kind of a network of people. Morgan, who does the strength coaching, and we've got like sports psychologists and everything. That's a really, really good little network that we can plug into. And all of that helps me pre-race, but also keeps me disciplined post-race as well. So
he's pretty experienced himself, isn't he, too, on the
he's pretty
stuff.
Experienced.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. He knows his stuff, and he's great. He's very honest and very clear. I had a good chat with him today, actually, and very happy to keep my foot off the pedal for a bit longer. And
so important, and so many people. I have to really put the brakes on my athletes as well to go, and they're like, chunk the week. They have a week off. Everyone's always happy with a week off after a race, and then it gets to that second week, and they become toddlers.
I know,
and they're like,
so true.
And I'm like, no.
True.
I'm always have to go, I'm not speaking to you.
Yeah, I know. I should have, yesterday in hindsight, I should have gone for a cycle. I had a couple of hours where I didn't have to look after a child and could just get out. The weather was nice. I should have gone for a cycle, but
sometimes a little test though. You've had a little test, and it's almost quite good that you're like, yeah, I've tasted the waters, and they're a little bit murky still.
They're a little bit sore, yeah. So I know now that this week's going to be an easy week. So yeah, and I'll reassess after this weekend, I think, and see, and maybe start building up the miles next week. But again, my season's done. I've won the arc of attrition, so I'm like,
where do we go?
I can just leave the rest of the year now.
I love it. That last race of the season, it's like, yeah, we do what we want now.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna get fat, and I'm gonna be happy. I can't wait.
So we talk about coaching a bit, I suppose. Yeah, what would a typical week look like for you? Are you still like doing marathon workouts? Down the gym, lifting heavy?
Yes. So all of that, really. I live in Cardiff. So, and actually on the outskirts of Cardiff, if anyone knows, there's like a lovely little range of hills just north of the city. So I've got like 200-300 meter hills pretty much from my doorstep. Was doing a lot of hill work for arc of attrition, lots of just like repeats of fairly short hills, which is obviously quite specific. I run with a club called CDF Runners. They do kind of speed and tempo sessions on a Wednesday. I always try and go to those. Tend to do another workout, I guess, in the week, and then longer runs at the weekend, sometimes with some efforts put in there and various things, but generally like longer, easier runs at the weekend. I try and get at least 100 kilometers a week in, but I've learned from this race in particular, actually, that I don't actually need a lot of volume. As long as I'm doing like the good quality work, prioritizing that and recovering well from it. I used to be quite like focused on numbers and looking at my fitness number and training peaks and looking at how many kilometers I've run in a week, and just started to realize it's all bollocks in a way. So I'm just like, I'm trying not to focus on it too much and just, go by feel and try and get that quality work in as a priority, and then everything else is a bonus.
That's exactly what I do, and it's exactly opposite what Gary does. I'm old now. I'm old now, Lewis. I only do one workout a week, and and then everything else is a bonus. Gary loves the stuff.
I'd get quite anxious if I had to say do 100k a week. I know it probably would serve me much better if I was focused more on quality over the volume. But I think I'd struggle with that. Would you do a back-to-back long run too? I'm into those at the moment.
Yeah, there's a few little things I try and scatter through a training block. A lot of it will center around the weekend 3 weeks from the race, before the race. I always try and make that a big weekend, usually 3 days of big volume. Tim's a big believer in it. I'm becoming a big believer in it. I think there's something magical about that. I guess once a month before that, we'll try and do a big weekend of high volume. So back-to-back long runs at the weekend with kind of longer stuff in the week as well. But other than that, I wish I had more time to get into details, but I'm really happy just for Tim to put my plan in place. I just kind of go along with it as best I can. Yeah, he's good. He's great. He gets it. He gets that I'm pretty busy, and
just tell me what to do, Tim.
Tell me what to do.
Point me in the right direction. I'm good for it.
I'll tell you how painful it was, and then we can go from there.
Just by emojis. I'm really busy for any other feedback. So why the ARC? Why signing your race calendar off in January? What tempted you towards that race?
So I ran the 50 last year, and I really enjoyed it. I love coast path running. I've done a lot of the endurance life events, some Maverick events on coast path. That's kind of where I started trail running, weirdly down in Dorset. It was my first ever trail race, was the Endurance Life Dorset half marathon, I think. It just seems to suit me really well when it's runnable, but there are like, sharp hills. I just come into my own a little bit. So I loved the 50 last year. The ARC as an event is just amazing. Jane, Fergie and the whole team have just created something so special down there. I was toying with the idea of coming back and doing the 100. Then it became a UTMB event, and I've been wanting to get back to Chamonix for a little while since I did it in 2022. So then it became a no-brainer. I just thought I'll sign up and give it a bash.
Any differences since UTMB took over the race? Did you notice any difference in the sort of style of the race or the atmosphere?
The registration and everything felt bigger and more formal, and it felt more like a UTMB event in that way. Other than some more sponsorship flags being up and more people generally, it did feel pretty similar, I would say. And then once you're out on the trail, it was like that.
How can you change that?
You can't change that. Except there was marking this year, so I cheated.
Oh,
really.
yes, of course.
Yeah.
So it doesn't count. You'll finish.
It does not count. No, it does.
That removes a lot of heavy lifting, doesn't it? Just that mental load.
It really does.
Just follow. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not the hardest race to navigate in the world because it's the coast path, but particularly in the early hours. I don't know. Have either of you guys run the ARC before? No. There are sections like between like 110 kilometers, 140 kilometers. Like you're obviously knackered. For me, it was the early hours of the morning. For a lot of other people, it would have been the second day. Just not having to navigate, just having those like reflective flags everywhere.
Oh, so good, especially in the dark. You're right. Like you don't have to keep looking down, even though it's relatively easy path to follow. What was your goals going into this race?
I wanted a top 3. That was because I wanted to get back to Chamonix. This was a great opportunity for me to get that in place. So yeah, podium was the goal going into it.
Were you fresh, ready? Any niggles or all good on the start line?
No niggles.
Oh dear. No. The lip went up.
No niggles, but I really didn't feel that ready. My training, because I ran Dragon's Back in September. Correct that. I ran most of Dragon's Back in September, and I came away from that with a bit of a knee issue. Nothing too bad.
Is that what halted the Dragon?
One of many.
Issue? Okay.
Yeah, I just had a lot of different problems mentally. I kind of shut down. I stopped eating. Wasn't ready for it, I think is the conclusion. I came with a bit of a niggle, and then that flared up after I went down to Cornwall start of January for a bit of a recce weekend. So I came out of that a little bit concerned, and then I just generally hadn't got the volume in that I wanted going into across the whole block. Really, I just didn't feel like I'd done a lot. So I was nervous that in the second half of the race, I was just going to crash because, those hills and everything will just get you if you haven't conditioned yourself properly. So I was half confident. I was half nervous that I was going to just kind of...
How do you turn that round then when you're on the start line? Not sure.
It's such a cop-out answer, but a lot of this stuff is mental, isn't it? Like the longer you get, I think the more your mental game plays. And I just realized through 100 milers, the more relaxed I'm going into a race, the better I perform. So I just really wasn't trying to get wound up about it. On the coach to the start line, because you have to get a coach to the start line, I just got some shut eye. Everyone was like, I could feel the nervous energy around me, and I was just like trying to close my eyes and just get into the moment. And then I was just trying to enjoy it. On the start line, I was chatting away to people. Shane was there and a few other friends, and just enjoy it. Just trying to enjoy the atmosphere and keep relaxed, and I did that pretty well, I think.
Talk us a little bit how the race panned out.
Well, I'm curious. 20-minute gap on David, then an hour on Simon. So on paper, it looks comfortable, but I've looked on the splits. I think Lizard Point, you were 5th, then you moved up to 2nd, 1st, 2nd again, and then from Batalak. Seems like you didn't look back, but that might not be the tail from the trails. How did it go?
No, that was it. Yeah.
Okay, good. So nice to have you on the podcast.
Thanks, guys.
Quick 5 questions.
So wanting to get a podium, I knew there were certain people on the start line who I had to watch out for.
Love it. You've done the intel. Were you
Loved
like
it.
friendly? Like, hi guys. Yeah.
Of course.
Hi.
Yeah, I was eyeing them up and down. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always an unknown though, isn't it?
Oh, you like, a little bit of, gosh, still good winter.
Exactly, yeah, just ripping something out of their pack or something. No, I mean, yeah, obviously like knowing who to look out for. And then there were obviously a lot of people with it being such a big event. There was a lot of people that I didn't know and hadn't heard of. I really wanted to run the first half very relaxed, easy, save myself for the second half because it's, it was obviously going to be a lot harder. And so I went with the pace, but David went off like an absolute rocket out of Coverack and lots of people followed. It was too quick for me at that point. So I was just kind of holding back a little bit. And then I think it was like 10 kilometers in. We're still going pretty quick. Out of nowhere, I just got overtaken by about 5 or 6 young European guys, because they've got their little flags on the bibs. So there's like German guy goes, French guy goes, Belgian guy goes, and I'm just like, hang on a minute. I know this is a UTMB event now, but guys, come on. They all went flying past, and at this point, I got a little bit stuck in two minds. I was like, do I go with them? It seems very quick, but it's okay at the moment, or do I just completely hold back? I kind of did something in between, and that's why I ended up 5th at Lizard, the first one. And then I think by the time I got to Porthleven at 40k, I was coming in there sort of 2nd or 3rd, I think. It ended up, so it was me, David, and then another guy called Tom Vickery, who I know is a really strong runner. We kind of came out of Penzance into the night together. Tom dropped at that point. Some weather came in pretty bad. Tom dropped back. So it was me and David. And then we worked really, really well together from maybe 70 kilometers through to Batalak at like 100 kilometers, I think it is, something like that.
Yeah. But
that's a really tough part of the course. And as I say, the weather had come in, it was pitch black now. And me and David were just side by side, chatting away and enjoying each other's company, which was really cool. I think at Batalak, he had injured himself. He'd kicked a rock, I think, and hurt his leg.
He kicked a rock. You didn't throw the rock. He definitely kicked it.
Let's not ask questions like that now. Come on, we don't. I think between Land's End and Batalak, we weren't actually running together. I think he'd put music in and was behind me, I think, for most of that section. And then I was in Batalak Station, and then he came in and was like, a bit panicked, I think, and a bit kind of like, I could see that he'd hurt himself, and he was a bit like rushed. Although that was a shame, that was kind of also my signal to maybe try and put some time into him.
And the Euro guys, they vanished.
They vanished. They had done the customary sprint, at the start, and then I think they were genuinely, because I was chatting to one of them, I think they were just genuinely loving the coast path. I think they couldn't believe how gorgeous it was, and just enjoying it a bit too much maybe. But I didn't hear from them again, which was a relief. And then after Batalak, it's anyone who doesn't know the Arc of Attrition course or that part of the coast path, it is the section as it's known. It's relentlessly hilly. It's boggy, muddy, wet, steep. It winds in and out, and it just goes on forever. I think it's about 20 kilometers, but it took me 3 hours 45 minutes, I think. And I think it takes most people 5-6 hours to get through it. You just can't move quick. Even Mark Derbyshire, the legend, did it in, I think, 3.5 hours or something like that. So it's a section that could ruin your race pretty easily if you're not ready for it. So I came out ahead of David of the Batalak section, wanting to push, but also thinking, don't overdo it on this section because this could ruin your race. There's still 40 kilometers to go from the end of that section. So but then I didn't hear from David again. And I knew from people, from Marshall's and Simon, my crew, that he was sort of 15, 20 minutes behind. And so I was able to run fairly unchallenged that last 50, 60K, which was lonesome, but nice.
Can we touch on the crew? Because we had a bit of gossip from your crew this morning about a Pringles incident. Does that ring a bell?
Well, yeah, I'm assuming this was Paul Lever. I'm assuming this either came from Trish or
Bingo.
Yeah, it's from Trish. Okay, so basically, I wanted to change my shoes at Porthleven. Emily, my wife, and Ellis, my boy, were also there. Although I came in so rushed, I didn't notice them at first. Kind of got in, shoes were off, new shoes were ready, and then bottles were going in and out everywhere. And it's the first time I've had like that kind of crew experience where I'm just being like, everything's been done for me. And it's halfway through all of this, like Emily was like, excuse me. And I sort of saw them, said hello, had a kiss. And then I came back and I think Trish just said, Pringles? And I was like, yeah, Pringles. And she literally didn't even give me a chance. She just shoved them into my mouth. She just launching Pringles into my mouth, which was an experience, to say the least. I think my heart rate was the highest during that pit stop that it was at any point in the race.
Can you remember the flavour of Pringles?
Texas barbecue, yeah.
Oh, you winner. I could just shove those in my mouth all day.
They're my second favourite, though. I couldn't... The supermarket.
Oh, we need to tell
Trish
this.
No, it wasn't Trish's fault.
Okay.
It was they were my Pringles. She didn't have any reason to be blamed for that. The supermarket was out of paprika, which is sad.
I don't know. I think paprika could slightly on your lips be a little bit. No,
you're wrong.
Eddie,
I'm sorry, you are wrong.
I take it.
It's and I really mean this to anyone out there, and I might try and get a Pringles sponsorship actually, but they are the ultimate aid station snack. Because they don't fill you up.
Because they've got that thing like Doritos, whatever that additive is that makes you just want more.
MSG. I think it's just MSG, yeah, but because I think they're actually made of rice, not potato.
Oh, you blow my mind! I did not know this.
I think they're made of rice, and as a result, they just
they're almost a vegetable.
Exactly.
Pretty much one every 5 a day, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, as far as but yeah, I mean that was an experience. But Trish and Robin were amazing. They were out on the course screaming and hollering at nearly every turn in that first evening. So
awesome.
Then they had to look after Shane and Zoe.
Oh wow, yeah, they had a busy race. They did. When you're with Dave and Simon, and that when you're actually having conversation, are you like gamesmanship? Are you saying, "Oh yeah, I'm struggling a bit, my hamstring's a bit tight," or are you?
Gary, you're all off. This is what you're going to do at your next race as well.
Well, I pretend if I see somebody, if in the odd occasion where I do go past somebody, I have a little freshen up and I just pretend I'm feeling incredible, even though I might not be, just to kind of break their heart.
There is a bit of that. I was in a very fortunate position where I didn't really have any low points in the race. It's only happened to me once before the arc. I don't know why, but it's the best feeling in a race is when you just are floating along and you don't really have to think about much. I was just getting a little bit more from Dave that he wasn't enjoying things as much. Even fairly early on, you just sort of chatting. Like I always was asking how you doing, and he'd often have little like something negative to say, but I never really had that, so I didn't really feel the need to sort of feign any problems. But then when he had said that he'd hurt his leg and he kind of went off limping out of the Batalak aid station, I knew I had to get my Oscar-winning look as good as you can, run past mode on. But I think he'd kind of resigned a little bit at that point, because he did say to me, he asked me how far away third was, which was an indicator that he maybe wasn't thinking too much about competing anymore. And then he said to me, like, go smash it. And so, yeah, he is the loveliest guy ever. And he still ran an unbelievable race. Even though he'd hurt himself, I think he still rallied quite a lot. And I got maybe a 15-minute gap on him at St. Ives, but he never really, he finished 20 minutes. So he was moving pretty much the same pace as me for the remainder of it. Dave's an awesome bloke. It was an absolute pleasure running with him. I didn't know either that he lives in Pembrokeshire. I assumed with his Irish flag that he was Ireland based, but he lives in Pembrokeshire. So we're going to try and
pop down the M4.
Exactly.
You got your new training. All right, Dave. Well, you talk about changing your shoes. What sort of shoes coped with the coast path? Because you could have any sort of shoe basically for multiple parts of that course, couldn't you?
Oh, it's a nightmare. Yeah, the shoe choice was probably what I stressed over more than anything else before the race, because I knew that first 30K is really boggy and slippy. And what I didn't want is like wet, muddy feet for the whole race. So I always planned to change my shoes, and I used the Scarpa Spin STs for the first bit, which are like their fell running shoe, 7mm lugs.
Incredible shoe, great.
I love it. Yeah, it's really good. If you want to run 15 kilometers of tarmac, which is what is around Penzance, then not the best shoe for that. So it did the job for the first half, and I just got really muddy, and I didn't slip up or anything, which was a big worry of mine. And then from there on, the whole way through to the finish, I wore the Spin Planets just because I wanted to prioritize comfort over everything else. I knew I wouldn't be going that fast over the muddier sections, although they're not great in those muddy sections. I love them on tarmac or rock, hard pack trail. I think they're an awesome all-rounder shoe. So I had them, and then I did have a third pair just in case, which was the Golden Gate ATR2s, I think they're called, but never really needed to change into them because the Planets were just doing their thing.
You were doing their thing, the plans doing things. What about, apart from Pringles, I always love knowing what was your other snack of choice. What was Simon cooking up for you?
Simon, I wouldn't trust anything. Simon
No, I was
going
to say this is.
But he was doing a fantastic job of filling up bowls of soup for me. The aid station soups were my go-to, and then cheese sandwiches. I've never had cheese sandwiches during a race before, I don't think, but something just said to me, you want a cheese sandwich?
I think it's probably the podcast, wasn't it? Did you put a little bit of pickle in?
A little bit of pickle.
Well, I took what was given to me. I didn't.
You didn't question. But cheese
you come into an aid station
could be quite dry.
I don't remember them being dry.
Plus the Pringles.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Drink water.
But you know what it's like, especially when you're racing a little bit at the front of a race. You know, it gets to like 100 kilometers or whatever, and it's the middle of the night. He's going there. I feel so sorry for the people in these aid stations. I'm just going in there like, cheese sandwich, you know.
Yeah, like a monster in a troll. They've been waiting for you for so long.
Grunting at people. It's horrible. And I always try and say thank you and everything, but you're way past that at that point.
And it's hard when you've got that many Pringles in your mouth.
Exactly. But I remember I fell over right at the end of that tricky section in a massive mud puddle. My gloves, everything was just covered in mud. And I got into the St. Ives aid station, and I was just holding these soggy gloves. And I asked one of the, I can't believe this. I asked one of the ladies if she could just rinse them for me. So I've handed her these grotty gloves, and she, bless her,
but I'm sure she's been handled worse.
Maybe.
Yeah. What we talked a little bit about earphones, and you us both wearing some Apple Classics. Were you listening to music on the trails, rocking some?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've still got the mud on them from that fall somewhere, but keeping those memories close.
What's you listening to?
I actually had like a indie rock mix, and I think, like, do you know Catfish and the Bottommen? You heard of them?
Yeah.
Gary will. I've no musical education at all.
Is it Pacifier or something? One of their songs?
Yeah. So they're one of my like mixes on Spotify. So it was like a mixture of them, Arctic Monkeys, Sam Fender, lots of Sam Fender.
So get with this, yeah.
And then that was like the tricky section that did me good, and then when things got a bit emosh towards the end, I got one of my favorite bands, the Teskey Brothers. Have you heard of the Teskey Brothers?
No.
They're like an Australian duo, really soulful. So I was they were getting me through the last.
So what time of day? 19 hours, and it starts at 6. Is it on the Friday or midnight? Midday. Sorry, yeah. So it starts at midday. So you're finishing dawnish?
20 past 7.
Was it light when you finished?
I still had my head torch on. I think Dave finished in the light 20 minutes after me, but I needed my head torch up that last hill. So yeah, it was just breaking.
Family there?
Emily and Ellis were there,
the legend.
Ugly tears as you crossed the line.
There were some tears, yeah. It was a marshal in the last town. So you go through Porthtowan, and then it's like a kilometre or so to the finish up a hill. A marshal there just sort of said to me, amazing job, Lewis, like fantastic running. And I just got a quiver of my bottom lip, and I just started, I've done it. And I got,
it's good. It means a lot to you.
It's good. I know. I am a crier. I think I've actually cried at most 100-mile finishes. I wear contact lenses, and I've been wearing the same contact lenses since like Penzance, I think. And I don't know if it was the salt or just like dehydration or anything, but my eyes were like cloudy. Getting across the finish line, I'd been in darkness for 14 hours, and then suddenly there's like these videographer and photographer lights everywhere. I couldn't see a thing. So like the photos of me are horrendous because I'm like half crying. I'm like wincing.
Pringles, cheese,
Pringles
gloves.
Yeah, exactly. Just like a gremlin that comes across the line. I couldn't really see anything at all. So I got.
Did you take your shoe off and hold it up for the cameras?
No, I didn't. That's not in my contract actually. With Scarpa,
okay, maybe next time.
How much did you do, Lewis?
I'm a bit concerned they're going to bring that in.
Check for $5,000. Would you drink out your shoe as you cross the line?
100%, yeah.
I'll do it for
a pack of Pringles.
I was going to say, pack of Pringles and your best Tesco's cheese sandwich. Don't drink out of anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Too right.
Did it deliver? I know, well, it sounds a silly question you asked actually, because you won the race. You can't do any better than that. But do you feel like you executed like a perfect race?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can always look back and tinker with things and say, oh, I could have done that. Conditions could have been different, whatever. But you never know what like onward effect that's going to have in a race so long. My super ambitious plan. I have an Excel sheet for every race I do. It's embarrassing, but necessary. I had 1930 as my like ambitious plan.
Incredible.
And I got under that. So, and won. So looking back on it, at the time I was like, I can't really explain why I'm going so well. Like I knew I was doing well. I knew I was on really good time. Yeah. And I could keep going and going and going all the way through those last miles. Like I just felt really good in myself. But looking back on it, I think I made the right calls at the right time. I've built up quite a bit of experience now. I said to Tim, it's the first race where I've really felt experienced and confident in my decisions, which is amazing. Like, to have that confidence is like a game changer, I think, in these kind of races. So yeah, I do feel like it went pretty perfectly. I can't really say maybe I could have eaten more in the second half. I could always eat more in races. I tend to get sick and stop getting calories in, but hey, I'll take it.
Would you defend your title or maybe one of the other distances that they do 25, I think now, is that correct?
I've got this lovely position now where I've got a 50-mile trophy. I've got a 100-mile trophy, and now I might need to get a 25-mile trophy of some sort. Maybe if I'm going to go back next year, I won't be doing the 50 or the 100. I don't think I'll be doing the 25, but I'm going to wait and see for a little bit longer before I plan out anything for 2026.
What does the rest of this year hold for you, Lewis? We laughed saying it was the end of the season, but I don't believe that for a second.
It's not quite, no. So next race is the UTS 50K. I'm still in two minds as to whether I'm really going to go for that or not. I might just go and enjoy it because it's like so many good people and good friends kind of will be at the race. So I'm going to see how I recover, see how I feel pushing things again. And if I'm into it, great. If I'm not going to be too upset about it. I'm doing a couple of local races around here between now and then. Then it's second baby time. So in July, we've got our second boy is going to be arriving, which is incredibly exciting, but also an absolute nightmare for training. But that's fine. I'm going to enjoy those few months. And then I'm doing the Cardiff half marathon in October. So going back, I figured that if I'm going to be housebound, for a lot of summer, anything I can do, just getting out locally on the roads and, maybe being able to train for that would be great. But if not, it's a really, really fun local event for me. So I should do that. And then, next year will all be about UTMB, but I haven't quite planned things out that far.
No, I look forward to the plan of how you're going to plan out that year into UTMB as well, what sort of races you might pick.
Yeah, or maybe even not that much that many races.
Just get on the hills.
I feel like I've tried to force in races before for the sake of racing and like warming yourself up to it. But would you go out and run and do like a 3 or 4 day little recce? That's what I'm thinking.
Weekend? Yeah,
that's what I'd love to do that. Like rather than go to a race that might not be that appropriate for training or might be the wrong time. The idea of going out and running the route again, without the pressure of the race and just, there's no better way to train than doing that, right? So
that'll be a blast. I'd love to do that, yeah.
But I've got 3 people to convince after July this year, so we'll see.
Cardiff Half, that's a bit spicy, isn't it? It's quite a competitive race, if I remember.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be competing at the front.
You're holding your shoe.
I think the winning time of that last year was like 62 minutes or something crazy. So I won't be anywhere near that. But it's been a while since I've tested myself at half marathon, so I'm keen to see what I can do.
Do you not get scared? I'm currently a bit fearful of the shorter stuff because I've been so used to, say, Dragon's Back race, the Bob Graham Round or Lakeland 100, that long, slow shuffle. The thought of doing a cross country or even, we've got the Great North Run near me, what a wonderful half marathon. But I'm terrified of just trying to run fast.
No, I still love it. I started my running
Lewis
journey
is like 22, Gary. You're like 59.
plus 10.
Thanks, Eddie.
You look great for 59, by the way, Gary. But no, I really enjoy it, and I want to. I like the measurability of road running. I like how you put in the effort and you can really see your progress. And London Marathon, which did in 2022, was, like I say, one of my favorite ever runs. I think it was just amazing. And so I'm kind of hoping for those kind of vibes again.
Just need to get Scarpa to make a road shoe.
Carbon plated super shoe.
Carbon plated.
I've been telling them. They're not listening.
Just get your vapor flies and sort of paint Scarpa
on the side, yeah.
Yeah. You get your little boy to do it. It could be a Saturday morning project.
Excellent.
Yeah, we'll see. But no, I'm looking forward to all of that. I'm actually excited to go back to shorter racing this year and just not have to think about running 100
It's just
miles.
a long run. It's a long run, isn't it? Taking that out of a training week equation, a long run for a half marathon.
You get so much time back. When I trained for London last year, it was like my training volume now was probably another 5 hours a week currently compared to what it was when I was doing London Marathon training.
It really, this is probably not the right topic for this podcast, but it really puts your life choices into question, doesn't it? When you have a couple of weeks off running or you reduce your volume right down, I have so much energy. Oh my God,
energy. And you get up in the morning and you go down the stairs and you're
I'm not creaking when I get out of my bed in the morning. It's
the morning pee doesn't take me. Is it just me? 15 minutes.
The only trouble is you're still eating like you're running.
You have to watch that Pringles.
Yeah.
No Pringles. No.
Aid stations only. Aid stations only. I'm recovering Pringle addicts. I need to. Yeah.
Shall we do the quick five?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, we've got more than 5.
I know I popped one at the top, but sorry.
How do I find this out? Is there a way that you can officially find this out, Eddie? Anyway, sorry,
No,
Lewis.
I was going to just go on his trust, but I don't know. He seemed a pretty dodgy character.
Do you have a favourite app on your phone? Must be a way you can test that out, how much time you spend per hour.
Yeah, but that might not be your favourite one. I spend a lot of time on
Instagram
WhatsApp.
for me, I think. Selfies, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's probably Instagram. I wish it wasn't. But
delete it. Delete.
I do.
Oh, good job, Lewis.
I do. No, but I've got it back. I delete it probably every. I probably delete it every 6 months. I have like a month off, and then I get it back again. But yeah.
Don't fight it, Lewis.
The algorithm's too good. It's like, it makes me laugh.
Signature dish. Yeah, we're bang on your door. What are you going to rustle us up for a meal?
Spaghetti carbonara.
I can smell that. That's what the kids they're eating it very
garlic bread on the side
next door.
Always.
Oh, bit of a green salad, garlic bread.
Yeah, but I back myself on carbonara any day of the week. It will be the best carbonara you've ever had.
Shots fired. Shots fired. I love it. Last film you watched or remember watching? Or it could be like a Netflix binge, whatever you're into at the moment.
We're currently watching Lockerbie.
Seen the advert.
Intense.
Is it? Yeah.
It's good though. Really good. Love me a bit of Colin Firth. So I recommend that. Yeah, if you want a good series to watch.
He's writing it down.
I'll forget. Oh, yeah. What's your
Gary, I want to write this down. Lewis said to watch this.
What is your favourite workout session?
The one that comes to mind is like a hill pyramid. So 10 minutes uphill, drop back down.
God.
8 minutes uphill, drop back down.
I thought you were going to say
6.
5 minutes.
Yeah, I thought as a marathoner, he's going to say 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, you know.
But like a downward pyramid, so the first rep's longest, so 10 minutes. Then you know every rep from that point onwards is shorter, but you want to go harder, and that last one is killer. But that I don't enjoy them during that much, but I always look back and think that was
We'll flip it though. Tim listens. What's your least favourite workout?
He made me do one once, which I still haven't forgiven him for. And it was actually for the 50 last year, the ARC 50 last year. He wanted me to practice basically not slowing at the top of a hill and getting straight back into my like running stride on the flat. Because obviously the ARC is like up, flat, down, up, flat, down. It's all constantly. So it was a minute hill sprint followed by a minute flat sprint.
I love it.
And on quite a steep hill, but it was I think it was 15 times or something. And getting to the top of a steep hill, you don't really realize this until you're forced to do it. You always stop. You always kind of get to the top of a steep hill.
Always. Even
stop,
on a normal run, I stop.
or you just really relax into like a little walk, I'll just get my breath back. But to then keep sprinting for another minute and do that 10
It is.
10 or
I
15
do
times.
set a very similar one for all my ARC athletes, either on the treadmill or a similar, because it's exactly what you. If you can do that, you can do the rest. But yeah, heinous.
Sounds like a good cross country workout too. Be lots of little steep climbs and then kick on as soon as you get to the top. Bucket list race.
Oh, Western States maybe.
Love to see what you could do there. Your fast legs and long legs and
but can I do 2? Please?
I'd be worried about the cheese sandwiches at Western States.
Sandwiches.
We'd have to up that nutrition.
I'd have to bring some over with me, wouldn't I? Western States and Tour de Jean, I think, would be my 2. Tour for when I'm a bit older and a bit hikier, I think. We could take offense, but it's totally right. I'm a lot hikier and I love it.
I loved it when I read when I first got into trail running. I read Dean Carnass's book. That was like when the Western States magic kind of was sprinkled on my radar. That would be sensational. It's Instagram story music time. Yeah, Lewis, you get to choose the song we put to our Instagram story. What's it going to be?
I forgot about this one.
Awkward.
At least you just said you forgot. You didn't go, right, I've never thought of this. I thought I was
pretty prepared for these, but I'm not.
What about that song you listened to as you came in? What was it that you said as you finished the race?
I wasn't listening to music at that point, but let's go with the one that Gary mentioned. Let's go Pacifier. Yeah.
I can do that. It's a good song.
Gary's happy with that. Lewis, thank you so much for giving up very precious evening time. We know that you are a smoking fast athlete, but you also have a proper job and you will have to work jolly hard as well. So really appreciate you giving up precious family time in the evening as well. We hope we've given you a little time left to go and, what was it? Oh, a bit of Lockerbie and a little bit of chocolate. Well done. Thank you so much for sharing the story of ARC. Inspirational. Good luck with the rest of the year, especially with the exciting family news. And super exciting. We can't wait to follow. First Cardiff half will be gripped to the live tracker on that. And then UTMB 2026 as well. And if you want any company on a 3 or 4 day round, Gary's there licking his lips already on going around the Tour Mont Blanc.
We can discuss Lockerbie, Gary, when she watches. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Lewis.
Thanks for your time.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
I love that. I wonder if he's going to go for the sweep, go back to the ARC again and then race the 25. Whatever you do, Best of luck, Lewis. He's got a busy 2025. Yeah, best of luck with everything, Lewis.
Thank you, Harrier Trail Run, for supporting our Strava Club and the Tales from the Trails. Harrier is the UK's fastest growing brand for trail runners, providing specialist kit designed for superior fit, comfort and function. Check them out for race vests, waterproof poles and other trail essentials at www.harrierrunfree.co.uk. You can also download your free copy of How to Run an Ultra Guide. Use T10 for 10% off site-wide, or check out their brilliant trail bundles for a special 20% off.
I used the Kuba 5-litre vest again.
Saw it on Every Day I'm Shuffling video.
I wanted to see if I could basically, because these were going to be 2 bigger days, if I could put my insulated jacket in there. Yeah, I've used it on shorter days where I wasn't going so high on the moors, but I just want to see how it would fare. 2 big days on the lakes. I also had the Harrier socks on to keep my feet nice and comfy, and the X-Moor waterproof jacket. I thought it'd just be great to see how everything coped bigger days. Everything smashed it. The jacket was great too on a Saturday. And that X-Moor jacket, if anybody's wondering, deeds the hydrostatic hair, the tape seams, all of those bits and bobs that will pass, goodness me, I think pretty much every ultra race in this country. Yeah, great bits of kit.
Hello, Gary and Eddie. Hello. I'm a long-time listener and love the podcast. I can't believe you do all the running and living and put out such a great podcast each week. I know. No, I can't believe
Stop it.
I want to offer a heavy flex. Yeah, you do, to Tim Whitcomb from Leon C, who ran the day, oh my gosh, in January for men's mental health, raising over, £2,200 for the charity Movember. The first week was, of course, doable, 1 to 7 miles, but the last week, 25 to 31 miles. So that is like 25 miles one day, 26 miles the next day, 27 miles. This is your dream, Gary. It was massive, not least as Tim works in London, has a young family, and is captain of Benfleet Running Club. Tim, we need the deets on this. There was a lot of... How early were you getting up? This is from your mate Lee, by the way. Great running, Tim. All the best, Lee. But Tim, we've got a lot of questions about this. You're going to need to go on the podcast. Do you think he ran to London? I'm just going to run to London.
Yeah, I wonder if he wrapped it up with his commute.
How do you fuel all that? How do you then manage to work all day? I struggle after 5 to 7 miles.
I wonder if I have to do it all in one chunk, because either way, it's massive numbers. But if you did say maybe a 15 mile and a 16 mile run, I don't want to devalue the challenge. That is just even that, thinking, oh my goodness me, I've got to do 16 mile on the way home from work. That would be insane too.
It's something that's like tickled in the back of my brain that I would like to do one. No.
When anyone mentions an accumulator. No.
I think it would be. I think we should. Maybe I should. But I wouldn't be able to do anything else.
That last week. Just visualising that last week.
So can you do the maths on how many miles that last week is?
I'm not even going to try. Well, I know the people who were doing the marathons every day. That was like 198 miles, I think, for the week.
That's another thing that tickles me. It's like, I'd love to do one of those like world records marathons every day, but I reckon even day 3, I'd be like, no, I'm out.
Yeah, but guys have been doing them for like over a year. It's an insane challenge. Absolutely wild. But yeah, that is absolutely sensational, Tim. Great running.
Kudos. Thank you, Lee, for sending that in. We love your Tales from the Trails, poems, anything goes. Please email them to hello@teaandtrails.com and pop Tales from the Trails as the subject. Hat reviews. Oh my gosh, this could not be more... I'm not more hot than anybody. I think I'm the hottest person. I'm definitely the hottest person in Scotland.
Literally the hottest person. Obsessed! ! 5-star review. New to trail running this year and stumbled on this podcast. Warning, this is dangerous when early on in your running journey, as I now have too many bucket list races.
You can never have too many.
These two are my running best friends I don't yet have and can't recommend enough. Best raw content, insights into balancing training, working and family life, as well as the important training advice and sharing all the inner thoughts of runners' minds. Never stop. Thank you, Working Runner, Apple Podcast. Incredible. Thanks for that. We love your reviews. It really does help the podcast grow and pop up on other trail runners' feeds. Please pop over to iTunes or Spotify and leave a 5-star review.
Thanks, Protein Rebel, for bringing us home. Whether you're trying to get a PB, training for your first ultra, or going... I read this every week. I must change this next week. Or going for your, how many, 5th, 6th Lakeland 100 day? Or maybe even your 4th 200 miler. 4th, Gary.
All county tops, age group champ.
Protein Rebel products are easy to digest with no artificial additives, providing both performance and overall health benefits. I have been now, we laugh about this heat training that I'm doing and how hard I'm pushing it, and probably a bit too hard. But I tell you what, the all that glamour in the garage of me sweating and that washing, I have been downing that magnesium before we go to bed, because I am struggling, because I'm so busy then, of course, we all are, to then rehydrate enough. And I've been like waking up 2 o'clock in the morning with like my legs aching. My feet are sore because they've got so much sweat. The skin is hurting on them. So dehydrated. My legs are like twitching. So I thought, hang on a second. I've got my magnesium protein rebel powder.
I really think it works,
Let's get that. Let's down that. The only thing you have to be careful is I mix it when I have my post-dinner cup of tea, and then I just leave it to let the powder I leave it on the side, and I have to just guard it that someone doesn't throw. Who else is going to stack the dishwasher? I mean, what am I even worried about? No one is going to. But I've taken that the last week or so. It definitely made a difference.
Yeah. I'm going to do a collagen magnesium cocktail tonight, because I take my magnesium during the day, and that isn't the recommended. Yeah. So I'm thinking I don't want to have 2 big drinks before bed, but I always have a cuppa with my collagen in it. So I'm going to magnesium load it too. Honestly, all the potions, all the vitamins and multivits.
Potions, but look at us. We are just in the prime of our life.
We are the tip of the iceberg, Eddie.
We're going to meet up this week. You are going to get what would we call it? I want to say
you're going to invade my space.
I'm going to invade your space. I'm going to have a shower before.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
We and 10 lucky patrons are going to go on a little photo shoot. Are you going to do like a little bit of makeup? What are you going to wear? We should talk about outfits and stuff, Gary. Coordinate
here.
A
bit of colour on my cheek.
A little bit of
yellow at the moment, actually. Yeah.
Just a little bit of jaundice.
Put some whitener on my teeth. Yeah.
I mean, how do people get on TV their teeth that white? Like, what is going on there? There must be dentists listening. It's not right. It looks like on a television, it kind of fits in with the lights, and when you've got a full face of makeup, but when you haven't, these like white. All I can think of is that Friends episode when Ross gets.
It always puzzles me when you go too far the other way. Like it becomes a bit of a.
Do you think I've gone too far the other way with all my Botox and fillers? And I had a parents' evening and I put some mascara on, and the kids go like, they're like, "Mom, why are you dressing up so fancy? It's really embarrassing."
That's what you got to expect on Thursday, Patreons. We're going to be I'll have me lips done, a bit of filler.
There's not enough filler in the world. So we're going to go and recce and have a little bit of a photo shoot of us recceing the run. I'm most excited, Gary, about the drive down.
The snacks.
The snacks that I'm going to take, the podcast I'm going to listen to, then obviously a lovely run. And then Libby is on the case to source us a cup of tea and a bit of cake afterwards. I've got to be back home for sports clubs at 6.
Well, yeah, I need to pick Lisa up at 6 too. So.
Oh, do you? Okay, so we have a bit. We'll have a cup of tea and cake, but we can't dilly daddle. Oh, vamoosh! So really looking forward to that. I know I'm speaking to a lot of people. March is
What's
mad.
the forecast?
Mad.
Check the forecast. Should we do a little?
Oh no! Yeah.
Our old patrons are going to get blasted up on Skiddaw. -6 on the summit of Skiddaw with gusts of 25. That's fine, and it's blue sky day. If you're not used to the Lake District, probably about 3 days a year you get a clear Skiddaw summit, so you are in for a treat.
And we did last time as well. We didn't quite get to the top of Skiddaw
summit,
did we?
Yeah.
So really looking forward to that, and I won't heat train that day. That will be the end. Hopefully that will be the end. I will be done, but I still might be a bit tired. So I'm very happy bringing up the rear of the recce. What are you doing? You're having a few down days because you were grumpy and tired.
I was a bit grumpy. Has my mood picked up a bit though? I think I'm a bit more energy.
Well, that's because we're recording. Honestly, guys, when we turn the record button off, we'll go back.
Do not believe a word.
I don't want to do that. Will you do it? Oh, I'm
You
tired.
Just more work, Eddie. It's just more work.
Oh, Gary, I've been thinking, having a teenager. It's all right.
I might. Well, I've said I'm going to do it, so I'm definitely going to go to Anik. It's my cross-country comeback on Saturday. I'm a bit stressed.
What's your trainer of choice for cross country?
Oh,
My kids are wearing their. I tried to say to them, I'll get you some spikes. And they're like, no, Mum, we don't want to look good.
I could use those.
Maybe you should go in your football boots, like my kids. And then everyone would.
That'd be sensational, football boots. I could use the Scarpa Spin ST. I'll take those and I'll take the spikes and see what the intel is. Because the blokes run later on in the day.
So muddy. Is it muddy?
Well, there's a long drag at the back and there is patches where it's muddy, but it's not like, say, Thornley Farm, anyone who's done that cross-country at the Harrier League, that is just filthy. So you could probably get away with really aggressive, lugged, felt shoes. I think I've spiked it normally, Harrier League up at Danik. But yeah, I'm pretty stressed out because I've made no secret. Short, fast stuff has, filled me with a bit of anxiety, and I've not done a cross-country fixture since 2023 after the Dragons Back race. I didn't do any after that. So you would go back to early 2023, the last time I did a cross-country fixture. But it's a struggle for where we are, Sedgefield and Anik. That's the furthest distance away as far as the fixtures are concerned. So we might struggle to get 6 out. So if I'm fit and I'm around, I should go and run. It's half term in County Durham. So George is
is
home
it?
all week.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So
yeah,
we
some
will
days out with
see.
George.
Yeah, definitely tomorrow. I'm going to see if he fancies being my cameraman. I've got to review Scop.
I was thinking like maybe a visit to a museum or can you film me, George?
Well, I'm home alone. Lisa's got the car, so I've got anything walking.
You've got to do from home activities.
We've got the nature reserve, Castlean Inn, so we go down there and I'll buy him a nice lunch from.
Yeah, I was going to say that'll have to involve a cafe trip. It definitely would. My kids will do anything for a cafe trip. They'd probably even do the bins. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love that you're listening. If you're still running, keep on going. If you're in the car, do keep on driving, sipping that tea. If you're folding your laundry, if you're cleaning your bathrooms, what else do you do while you're listening to podcasts? I listen to some that I just listen to go off to sleep. So I had a few days by myself recently and I binged. I just listened to podcasts the whole day. There's something so comfortable about listening to other people spout a lot of rubbish. Anyway, we love it. We love it that we can provide that for you. Do pop over to Instagram, Facebook and YouTube, subscribe, or even consider becoming an awesome Patreon. Thanks to X Miles, Precision Full Hydration, Phoenix Light UK, Harrier Trail Running and Protein Rebel for sponsoring this week's show. Here are your discount codes: T10 for SHOKZ, T15 for Protein Rebel, and T-Time 25 for Precision Full Hydration, T10 for Harrier Trail Running. Thanks to our partners and Patreons. We couldn't do this without you and your ongoing support.
I always have a little backlog of podcasts. I'll get a bit behind. So I'll tell you what I listen to, what my roster is. You can tell me which one I should cull.
Oh, gosh. I don't think I want to do that in a public forum.
The rest is classified.
Oh, I heard that was good, but I'm not.
The rest is history. The rest is politics.
I like that.
YouTube Creators Hub. That's like a little half-an-hour podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, I've been that.
British Ultra Running Podcast. That's my roster.
I haven't listened. There was a new one of that one. I haven't listened to that one yet.
Trail Runner Nation. That's another one.
Never listened to that. To be honest, there's very few running podcasts that I listen to. They've got to be high quality.
So you think the YouTube one gets a call?
Yours is so different to mine. So I listen to Pro Tri News. If you're a triathlete, you probably listen to that. Parenting Hell. Do you listen to that? Love Parenting Hell. Rest is Entertainment. The Teen Commandments. This is saying the time of life that I'm in. Miles from the Ordinary. Love that. Friends will be friends. Binge. You listen to that? That's quite good. That gives you good Netflix recommendations. Some more cool play. Love listening to David and Megan. Table Manners. Bit Table Manners.
Never listened to that one either. Let the trail rise to meet you and the wind always be on your back. Be kind to your future self. Breathe and believe. Progress, not perfection. My name is Gary Thwaites.
And I'm Eddie Sutton.
And that was episode 110 of the Tea and Trails podcast. Yes, my one advice for the week, put 10 miles an hour on the wind speed gusts if you're thinking about going by.
My one advice, lube up before you get sweaty.
Bye.